Welcome back to Talk of the Townsends, a show where we talk about TV and film, but mostly just silly stuff that's going on. I'm Benedict Townsend.
And I'm Hannah Townsend.
It's our first regular episode of the podcast for a hot minute.
Is it of the year or is it our second reg 2025?
It's our second reg because we did that one about alpacas.
Okay.
Which was a huge hit. People were definitely into that. They were definitely not just here for traitors. They wanted to hear that.
Well,
hopefully this will do similar blockbuster numbers. Look, this was a podcast before we did traitors stuff. Hopefully people will stick around and listen. All the Americans we lost.
we had fun back in the day.
Yeah,
You're giving that energy.
It's still fun, guys. Come on.
It's still hip.
Can I start us off talking about Hannah and I, as you can probably tell, we hit the gym and we hit it pretty damn hard. Okay, folks? And our gym has an app, as is the trend these days, and you can get little badges on the app. And we were looking through the badges, and a lot of them are just like 10 visits to the gym, 20 visits to the gym.
No, actually, a lot of them, it's weird numbers. It's not 10, 20.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
It's 12. It's
15.
18. It's
yeah.
like, why is it not? It's so frustrating that they're not round numbers.
Do you think there's some sort of psychology behind that that's like people are more likely to go if you're working towards odd numbers?
Do you think?
Because people will be like, well, I've got my 10 badge, I'll stop. But if you're working towards
17?
15, maybe you're bamboozling people.
I don't understand. You're always, because are you working towards 18 visits or something?
I'm always working towards everything. I don't know. But some of the other badges are just about like the number of, somehow it can count like the number of steps you do and whatever. And the ultimate badge, we scrolled all the way to the bottom, it's called GOAT, which the kids know stands for greatest of all time. And to get the GOAT badge, you have to do a cumulative 8 million steps.
So now we always say to each other, we're like, oh, I'm popping to the gym. And I'm like, oh, what are you going to do? You just the 8 million steps?
Probably just going to do 8 million steps.
Yeah, just 8 million steps.
What am I going to do today? Oh, I'll probably do the row machine and then probably just round it off with 8 million steps.
I'll do some arms, I'll do some back, and then just 8 million steps.
Probably literally 8 million steps. I mean, obviously the idea is that you build that up over the course of, I guess, decades. You run a lot. How long does it take to do 8 million steps?
I don't know, because when I do run, I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I count steps, of course, to make time go faster.
7,999. I mean, we did the maths, I think, at the time, because we worked out, was it supposed to do 10,000 steps a day or something?
Oh, yeah.
And we worked out it would only take like a couple of years.
Was it 3 years, 2 years, 3 years?
Yeah, if you did like 10,000 steps a day, it would take like 3 years to do 8 million steps or something. But
yeah. Maybe check that maths yourself.
Talk to me in 3 years. I don't know if I'll have that badge. Let's put it that way.
I always think about when I get to the pearly gates, when I get to heaven, and I just hope that I get stats of my life.
Oh, yes.
That is my dream. I worry, will I have to pick between an option, like a list of options, because I can only get so many stats of my life, or will everything be there? Because there might be some niche stats that I've thought of that aren't there.
No, sorry, two things. One, you're in literally heaven. Why are they limiting you? Well, for budgetary reasons, heaven can only give you 2 options. And 2, what would they not be able to find in heaven? Sorry, the door was closed at that moment. We couldn't see.
For me, personally, I had a cat. Other people, I had Suki. So my personal question might be, how many times did I kiss Suki on her little head? How many times did Benedict kiss Suki on her little head? Like, that's quite niche.
Yeah, but this is heaven we're talking about.
Well, you think it's a big computer system and I'm just typing in SU and then it's Suki and then it's all the drop down of Suki.
Yeah, I think it's like magic beyond our wildest dreams, isn't it? I mean, I think I mentioned this in the podcast before, but I have a similar dream, which is that when you die, there's almost like a supercomputer where you can like, who was the person who was alive while I was alive on the planet who looked the most like me?
If you were only able to get one statistic for your life, what would you pick?
Ooh, that's a good one.
I think you'd pick litres of water drank because you drink like a bloomin' fish.
I do. Yeah, okay, I drink a lot of water, but that's not interesting or fun. Why would I want to know that?
I think you could flex in heaven and say, guess how much I drank. You've drunk the Antarctic Ocean.
Yeah, but
your time.
All they would do is they just give me a number. They'd go 300 litres, and I'd go, oh.
You've drunk more than that in a day. In night, all I hear next to me is, you're always gulping water. Like you've never had it before.
Wah, 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 in my ear. Would you want to? What about all the people in your? Everyone who ever had a crush on you, because you might not have known. Is that not interesting? I would want to know something like that, something salacious.
But I just assume everyone has like a minor crush on me, I would hope.
Uh-huh.
That's not that fun though. Like, okay, so...
Oh yeah, the water's real fun.
I'm not saying the water.
Easy Poseidon.
I'm not saying the water's real fun, but I'm.
Why don't you like the one that I said of like the person on the planet who looked the most like you? There could be someone in Siberia
That's
who's your
not a
twin.
statistic.
Yeah, but it's just a fun fact. Are we limiting ourselves to statistics?
It's a statistic. It has to come in like, yeah.
Oh, I would like to know, like, so I love James Bond. I keep it quiet. I'd love to know how many times in my life I watched each James Bond film.
See, that's a good stat.
Yeah, because some of them I bet it's actually surprisingly low. I bet I've seen For Your Eyes Only less than 10 times.
I guess I'd quite like to know how many hours I spent.
Shitting.
No.
Shitting. What about like the hardest you ever laughed in your whole life?
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. When was the time I giggled the most?
Yeah, or laughed for the longest. You know, sometimes you keep laughing, you can't breathe. Like every day for you with me, to be honest.
I'd love to know, like, when I was, like, enjoyed something the most. Like, what's the film that I enjoyed the most?
Yeah.
You know, like, physically, like, I might say, oh, my favorite film is this. Is Parasite, but like in my body, what was my body's reaction to the film that I enjoyed the most? Or like, do you know what the statistic I'd like to know? When was I the happiest? At what age was I the happiest?
Do you think it'd be like 3?
I'd also love to know how many litres of popcorn I've eaten.
God, it's all liters with you.
Because I've eaten a lot of litres of popcorn in my life. I've eaten so much popcorn.
Is that the standard measurement for popcorn is litre?
Kilograms?
I guess doesn't weigh much. Can I ask you a related question? I was going to ask this anyway about movies. What is a movie you love, like one of your all-time favourite movies, but you've only seen it once and you probably won't ever watch it again?
I think about The Sleepover a lot.
The Sleepover? I don't know that.
It's this coming-of-age film that I've probably only watched once, probably once.
Yeah.
And it's about these girls and they have like a sleepover.
No way.
And then there's like it's not called a scavenger hunt, but they basically do like a scavenger hunt. And it's all about like friendship. And there's this girl in it that I can remember vividly. And she's got like curly hair. And she was in quite a few movies around this time. And I do think about that film a lot. And I'm like, I love that film. But I'm now past the age maybe where I would rewatch it. I also worry that I would rewatch it and be like, ooh, bit problematic. You know, there's sometimes that you rewatch stuff like New York Minute, which I'm like, I always was like, I love a New York Minute with
the Ashley.
The twins.
Yeah.
And then I rewatched it and I was like, there's quite a lot going on in here that's not so great. And you know, I don't want it to be one of those, so I let the memory of
you don't want the memory to be tainted.
The sleepover live on.
Yeah, fair.
How about you?
You know a weird one for me? La La Land. I love the movie La La Land. I watched it once in the cinema, really loved it.
Once performing?
Once performing. And then I've had lots of like impulses over the years to be like, I should watch La La Land. And then I kind of don't. And I think part of it is like, I had such a nice experience watching it. I don't think I'll have a bad experience the second time, but I just feel like I'm complete with that film.
Fair.
There are other films, like obviously I love The Zone of Interest, but that is like just an incredibly heavy experience that like I loved, but I don't want to have again.
It's a lot like Gravity. I adored Gravity. I thought it was a brilliant story. I'd never want to watch it again.
Yeah, because Gravity is also kind of like a theme park ride, isn't it? And once you've done the ride once.
Exactly. There's a few films like that it was like, that was amazing. I loved every second of that. Don't know that I'd watch it again.
Yeah, yeah. Is there any books you've ever reread?
Yes.
What have you reread?
I've reread Milk Fed by Melissa Broder.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's her last name. Sorry if it's not. Sorry to that man.
I think it is Broder.
I've reread that. I adore that book. It's not for everyone, but definitely for me. I've reread that. And I've also reread The Pisces by Melissa Broder. She is probably my favorite author, although she had a third book that I really didn't like. But those two books I have reread, and I probably the only books that I've reread. I just really, really enjoyed them. How about you?
I read The Pisces as well, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I think when I was a kid, I reread the last Harry Potter book a few times.
Did you?
Yeah, I really liked the last Harry Potter book. I mean, JK notwithstanding, I thought it was a good book. You know, and I was like a teenager. I've read the James Bond books more than once. There was a book I read called Mr. Vertigo, which I really loved, by Paul Auster, I want to say. It's about this boy who like basically learns how to fly, but in this like very difficult way. And I remember being very bewitched by that book. Do you know those books you read when you're young and they were like an adult book, and you don't necessarily understand every word, but you're like, I'm reading a grown-up book, and you're kind of proud of yourself, and you feel like you're wonder if people still read. Who knows? Did you have any books like that you read when you were like, this is kind of above my level, but I like that I'm pushing?
Well, A Series of Unfortunate Events, I always just found quite scary. Like I felt quite scared when I was reading it. And so I always felt like it was too much.
I walked in the bedroom the other week and you were reading that and you screamed your head off.
I remember reading things like that. And I remember watching things when I was young and being like, this is above my level. But being like, I shouldn't really be watching this, but watching it.
Speaking of things that are above your level as a kid, we have to talk about this. The other day I showed you a picture of Harrison Ford and you went, I don't know who this man is.
No, that's not what happened. Actually, Ellen. That's not what happened. There was a picture because he is in a series with someone else, and there was a picture of two people on a poster, and I said, which one's Harrison Ford? And you said, what do you mean? And I said, I have never seen that man. Look, it is a sorry to that man. He could be walking down the street and I wouldn't know a thing. We then went and looked at all his movies, all his, IMDb. I've never watched anything with Harrison Ford in it. I could have assumed by the two men in that poster, he was going to be the older one because I know he's been around for a while.
Yes.
But if you showed me a lineup of men who look similar to him, I would have had no idea. I haven't seen him in media. I've never watched a film with him. How would I know what he looks like? I don't like Star Wars.
He's very famous, I guess, is the
I've
only
heard
other
the
argument.
name a lot.
Yeah. I need to show you at least the first Indiana Jones film because it is really good.
But he doesn't look like that, does he? Anymore?
He still looks pretty good.
No, I know.
Have you never seen Star Wars even like in passing? They don't put it on at school or anything?
I went to a Star Wars a film.
You were in a Star. Hannah was in an X-wing for a while.
I went to a Star Wars with my dad, and I really didn't want to go, but I was kind of going as a, just.
What age was this?
It wasn't that long ago. It was one of the newer ones.
Okay.
But we didn't book tickets because I don't know why. So we just rocked up to the cinema and we were like, 2 tickets for Star Wars on the day it came out.
Very stressful.
And there were 2 seats available, but they weren't together. So my dad said to me before we went in, he said, there'll be a thing that comes up, some writing that comes up before the film starts. Because I said, I've not seen any before. So I feel like I'm going in a bit blind.
Yeah.
He said, there'll be writing that comes up before the Star Wars starts. And my dad was like, just read that and it will kind of catch you up on the story. The speed at which that writing goes up, I was like, and also it's naming characters who I don't know.
Can we work out which one this was? Can you tell me anything about what happened in that movie? Was it The Force Awakens?
When would that have been?
2015.
Yes, it must have been that. I don't know.
What can you remember?
I remember being bloody lost because I didn't know who anyone was.
Well, if it was The Force Awakens, Harrison Ford is in that film.
Did someone big die?
He dies.
There you go.
Spoiler alert, I guess.
Someone big died in it, and everyone was like, "Oh no!"
Yeah, him, Harrison Ford.
But if you don't know, it's that I didn't know. It was the only Star Wars I've ever seen, and I didn't enjoy it. And I wasn't even sat next to my dad, so I couldn't ask anyone any questions. I'm just in the middle of a movie.
It's a shame because that one is probably one of the most accessible to a newcomer. But you probably but you do need someone you can turn to and go, sorry,
who's that?
But also a lot of the thrills come from recognizing the references to the old ones.
Exactly. And all the stuff coming up on screen it happened so fast, the writing, and it's referencing characters where I'm like, well, I don't know who that is, so it means nothing to me.
Yeah, Luke Skywalker.
Genuinely, I don't know who that is. If you've not seen it, how do you know?
Speaking of Indiana Jones, I don't know if I guess you didn't have this experience, but the second Indiana Jones film is called Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and it's infamous for being really dark. I think George Lucas and Steven Spielberg were both going through divorces when they made it or whatever. It's just like, it's a good film, but it's like really dark. There's like spiders and people's hearts get ripped out and all this stuff. I don't know if anyone else had this experience. They loved putting that film on in primary school for us. They were like, kids like Indiana Jones. And then they'd put it on and it would get to the scene where the guy gets his heart pulled out. And you'd always see the teachers be like, oh boy, why have we done this?
I went to an all-girls school. They weren't throwing on Indiana Jones left, right and centre. It wasn't the vibe.
You just wanted your nice racist New York minute.
No, they weren't putting on that either. We were always like listening to like something educational.
I want to call out my friend Georgia, who one time, I can't remember why, maybe we'd done our year 2 SATs or something, but the teacher was like, we get to watch a video. What should we watch? And my friend Georgia, who somehow is still my friend to this day, she lobbied hard for us to watch the VHS of the stage show of Cats. And she brought in the VHS and put it on, and never has 30 kids been more bored Because you think that film is bad. The stage show is so boring.
I remember that exact recording of it as well.
Yes.
I can vividly picture someone in a little cat face singing.
Because Cats is entirely plotless. There's no story. You know, it's hard enough when you're a kid if
And
there
the
is a
music's
plot.
not great.
It's not. It's boring as hell.
McCavity, McCavity.
But also, you're there. You know, I'm there. I'm 6. I'm like, who's McCavity?
Well, exactly.
Where's Harrison Ford?
Who's Luke Skywalker? So here's a story. Here's a little tale. I was given a voucher for my birthday.
Yes.
I wasn't sure how much was on the voucher, which is always so awkward when you're given a voucher. You're like, oh my God, thank you so much. It doesn't come with a receipt and there's nothing written anywhere that says £10.
Yes.
So I go online, I'm looking, it's a closed voucher. I'm looking at all of the different things. I try and type in the little voucher code and find out how much money is on this card. And it says not usable or something. So I'm like, have I been given a false voucher?
One of those birthday scams?
Happy birthday to me. I'm like, that's really weird. So we go into the store. I give the card in and I'm like, I've been given this card. I'm not sure how much is on it. They swipe it. There's £80 on it.
Very generous.
Very generous.
Very generous. This wasn't from me, by the way, but very generous.
And they say, I tried to use it online, but it doesn't work. They said, this is a voucher only for the store.
Very old school concept.
What? What do you mean it's only for the store?
Yeah.
You've also, it's not like you're on every high street. This is Ganny.
Yeah.
You're not on every high street. Like, what do you mean?
Also, like, what advantage is there to that for them or for anyone, really?
Is it to get people in store thinking maybe they'll buy more and get rid of stock? I don't know. There must be some method to the madness.
A lot of people are impulse buying at Gaddy. Yeah, I'll get a couple more boots at the counter while I'm here.
So I have this voucher for over a year, okay? Because £80 is a lot of money.
Long year for me.
£80 isn't a lot of money at Ganny. All right?
That's the thing.
That's the problem. What's £80 getting me? A pair of socks. I'm not buying a pair of socks for 80 English pounds. I'm waiting until the sales, but then when the sales come, you have to go into the store and it's like on New Year's Day or on Boxing Day, I don't want to be in a Ganny trying to get an £80 top.
Because everything costs like at least 150 quid or whatever.
Yes.
So the problem is, yes, you're using your £80 voucher, but then you're just spending 80 quid.
Money.
So this voucher is just kind of costing you money.
This voucher is burning a hole in my pocket. I think about it a lot. With me, when I have a little task, I see a voucher. It's lovely. It's a little bit of admin.
It is a bit of admin.
It's a bit of admin because I've now got to arrange the present for myself.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Instead of getting me something crap, I would always rather have a voucher. But it's a little bit of admin.
It's cash with an asterisk, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's cash tricks.
Exactly, because, you know, there's a time frame. I have to use it on time. I have to use it in a certain shop.
And we found out pretty early on in this process that I was dragged into that I think the card expired after like 3 years. So there wasn't really any rush, but you would have thought there was.
I did mention this voucher a few times. And to my friends, I'm sorry for mentioning the voucher. It was just something that I couldn't tick off in my head, like, use the voucher. So it's Christmas time and I go on.
Can I set the scene? Ching, 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 ding dong, ding dong.
Ganny on high.
Reindeer noise.
So at Christmas time, there was a sale in Ganny. I thought, this is my shot. I've had it for over a year now. I have to use this voucher. I go online and I find a little top and I think, I like that top. Okay, I think it was like £90, maybe 100, but I think...
What a steal.
I know, they were giving it away. So I think, that's the top I want. Here we go, let's go. So I was told that I could ring the store, tell them that I found something online, they would order it to the store, I could go in and use my voucher.
It couldn't be more convenient.
Bob's your uncle. So I found this little top, I thought, that's the top I want. I ring the store. They say, can you text us? So I say, all right. So I text them and I say, I would like this. They text back and they say, okay, here's the link to pay. I say, no. I say, I've got a voucher. Could you order it in and I can use the voucher? The lady said, that's not possible. She said, we can't reserve something for you in store. There's only one. We can't reserve something for you in store. You would need to like come in straight away and get it. She was like, well, the other option is you just buy it.
Right.
And then you come in.
But with your money.
With my own money. She said,
Yeah.
why don't you buy it with your own money? Is it clear what I'm saying?
Not at all, but keep going. You buy it with your own money.
Why don't you? I'm texting this bloody store at this point. Okay, it's absolutely insane. I've never known a store. I rang up a landline and they said, "Why don't you text us?" So I'm texting Gani. I'm texting this woman in Gani. She said, "Buy the top with your own money, all right?" and then come into store. We'll refund you, and then you can re-buy it on your card.
That's what I forgot about this. One of the craziest parts is that you have to buy it twice. Yeah. You have to buy it, hold it, get the refund, then buy it again. Like, at what point are you just money laundering?
Oh, goodness. So anyway, so I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do. So I think, fine, I'll buy it because I'm in town next week. So I buy this top. So I'm now £100 down. I've still got the £80 voucher. And I also have no top. Just to confirm, the top is still sitting in Soho somewhere and I've not got it. So annoyingly, they could actually only hold the top for 3 days. Something I didn't realise when I purchased it because I wasn't going to be in London until like 5 days time, but I was like, they'll just hold it, even though because I bought it. So I thought you're going to hold it for at least a week, right? I bought this with my own money.
But
what do you mean?
After 3 days, it self-destructs.
They could only hold it for 3 days. So it's a Saturday. I'm now traipsing into Soho. All right, I'm spending money getting in that I wouldn't have spent. I go into Soho. Obviously, the girl that I was texting from Gani wasn't there.
Just doesn't exist.
This plan, I then had to, I sounded like a maniac. I said, "Hi, I've bought a top. Can I try it on to check I like it?" Because I thought I'm not coming back twice.
Yeah.
And then could I return it if I do like it? And she was like, "What?" And I was like, "If I do like it, I'd like to return it and re-buy it with a voucher." She's like, "Oh gosh, I don't know about that." I'm like, "Here we go."
Well, at that point, if I was them, I'd be like, she is doing some kind of money laundering. She's doing some sort of trickery on us.
It was a bit nuts. But anyway, they did let me do that. I did like the top. To be honest, at this stage, even if I'd hated the top, I would have said, "Do you know what? The cat can wear it.
Yeah.
I'll buy it.
I just want to get
care.
rid of this cursed gift card."
I don't care. So then they refunded me and they said that'll take 3 to 5 working days. And it's a Saturday. So I thought, brilliant. I'm not getting that money for a while then. And then I left with my little top.
Wonderful. It couldn't have been easier.
It could not.
I think my favourite part of that story, and there's lots of parts I like, but is that you're not allowed to buy it online. So you call the store and they buy it online for you.
Yeah.
Like, it's a little peek into what life was like pre-internet, wasn't it? I think an interesting point of contrast between the two of us is that when you are presented with a task like assembling a piece of IKEA furniture, the first thing you will do is put aside the instructions and just kind of feel it out using, no, you won't get this reference, but using the force, if you will. Whereas I love using the little instructions. I find it quite relaxing to do step by step. But it actually blows my mind. You'll just be like, "We'll figure it out." And I will say, you often don't.
No, that's not true.
You often end with a few pieces where you're like, where do these go?
I enjoy just looking at the picture, the overall finished product. I don't want a drawing of a picture that's not the real thing. So I like just looking at the picture. How should it look? I can make that.
Sorry, you don't like the drawing that's not the real... Is that the issue?
I just don't think it looks like it.
Well, because it's not finished yet.
No, I know, but I much prefer just like, here's what the desk should look like. Okay, let's go.
This is so much weirder than I thought it was going to be. You don't like the drawings in the instruction booklet.
I don't find them that helpful. I think it's a desk. It's 3 pieces and a couple of knobs. Easy.
That is a very different approach than what I would do. You seem to get stuff basically built though.
I do. I can always build stuff. I just think the instructions hold me back. I like to take the brief and make it my own. If
you were given like a Lego set, would you follow the instructions or would you just kind of vibe?
No, I would. Yeah, I think for a Lego's so specific and things go together so specifically. Like, I don't think I could make, a ship willy-nilly.
Yeah.
But if I could, with a desk, with a piece of IKEA furniture, I mean, it's built to be made very easily.
Fair enough.
What do you think that says about our two different brains and the way we approach situations? You are very much like, I see those videos that are like, the devil couldn't reach me, so he gave me a friend with no sense of urgency.
That's just, no, I reject that entirely. First of all, that's an entirely different topic.
There was a clip that went viral of a girl's boyfriend in Uniqlo, and he was like very carefully getting the bag out. You just like, the way you move around the world is just like, not slow motion, but slow.
No, because the problem is there's a difference between being speedy and rushing. You rush through the world. You're barging past people. There's not a train you've ever encountered that you haven't run for.
I don't run for trains.
You'll be running early. You'll be running early, and you'll be like, we have to get that train. And I'm like, why? And we'll sprint and get on a train, even though there's another one in a minute. You just have to. You're very competitive, but with everything all the time.
All right.
I think the instruction thing for me is more that like I've improv'd things enough to know that like it's annoying when you miss a thing, and it's actually ultimately quicker to just follow the instructions.
But I've always improv things and it's gone well. So maybe it's just like you're not good at feeling it out.
I don't know. I feel like that's a real generalization you've made there.
I've improv making furniture and it always goes well. The table's made and you're still there opening the instructions. You've got a pack of gloves
also,
on.
I'm not afraid of the pictures. I didn't realise you were scared of the instructions.
I'm not scared of anything.
It's the little weird IKEA people. You don't like them. They're a bit spooky.
Think that's not how it looks.
I turned to you and I said, who do you think is the most famous British person?
And I straight off the bat kind of said David Bowie.
Yes, but you described David Bowie as you went, the guy in the kitchen in the dress.
I feel like that's just a very iconic British image.
Is he in a dress in a kitchen?
Isn't that music video? Okay.
No, you're thinking of Freddie Mercury again. we had this conversation. We had this conversation at the time. You're thinking of Freddie Mercury from that music video. No, we're keeping this in. It's funny. We're keeping this in. And then we both agreed that Freddie Mercury would also, I guess...
It's a testament that I don't know their names, but I'm like, I'm not too sure, but I'm just like, one of them is very famous.
Yes. But then I said, what about William Shakespeare? And we agreed that might be a slightly more famous British person. And then we were trying to ponder who is the most famous British person ever.
And we settled on probably the Queen, just because her face would be recognised. Like, you got to think a face that would be recognised like globally. If you showed a picture of who is this and a picture of the Queen versus who is this and it's David Bowie.
Yeah.
Do you think the Queen?
Yeah, definitely. More people would know the Queen.
Yeah. Whereas William Shakespeare, face less recognisable, but name very recognisable.
But ruff, he had that collar. I feel like the ruff is very recognisable.
The ruff is recognisable. Would you say he is a contender?
For most famous British person ever?
Ever.
Yeah. But then we were like, is the Queen the most famous person full stop ever? Like, not British.
Yeah.
But then we were like, well, obviously the World War II guy, I won't say his name, but the bad guy in World War II is quite famous.
Yes.
But then also maybe Jesus.
Are there any other contenders apart from Jesus? I guess a picture of Jesus, if you showed a picture of Jesus versus a picture of the Queen, more people would know who Jesus was.
Are we doing it on pictures? Is this your new...
Well, I guess it's just, how else do you identify?
I guess just on name recognition.
On name?
But then I guess the Queen is a little... If you had Queen Elizabeth II, people might not know that as well as the Queen.
That's true.
I suppose also, like, I wonder if... Because they say that the Superman logo is like one of, if not maybe the most recognizable like symbols in the world. Uh-huh. I wonder if like fictional characters might be even more famous.
What? James Bond?
Yeah, is James Bond more famous than any real human?
But James Bond isn't like... If we're doing on fame, because there's been multiple James Bonds, like who is the face of James Bond? There's not one person. Like the Queen trumps James Bond.
But maybe like Superman would trump the Queen in terms of more people have heard of Superman than the Queen, or Batman.
But do you not think Batman is a load of people and it's also fictional? Like if
I think he's one person, Bruce Wayne.
If we're talking about who is the most famous person ever.
I'd be interested to see what people say in our comments. I wonder if there's any like incredibly famous people that we're missing.
This was another thing we were talking about. Who's the most famous person American? And I was like Taylor Swift. And we also talked about Trump, unfortunately.
Yeah, but maybe Elvis?
Elvis is a good one.
In terms of most famous American ever, or like, I don't know, you'd say like Abraham Lincoln, but maybe Elvis is more famous than Abraham Lincoln. I fear people would probably recognize Elvis quicker than they'd recognize a picture of Abraham Lincoln.
I think they would. But if we're asking people of today, would the young kids know Elvis?
Yeah, because I think Elvis is like a bit like a fictional character. He's got like a whole look.
Yeah, that helps. That
is a really good way to be famous and like iconically famous, is to basically have like a costume and to have like a real crazy look.
So far we've got US, most famous person is Elvis, and UK, most famous person is the Queen.
Well, I'm still not quite sure about Elvis.
I'm not quite sure about the Queen.
Martin Luther King, pretty famous.
Yeah.
John F. Kennedy, pretty famous. Also, I'm sure we're missing some huge Americans.
I mean, Ant and Dec are also, I guess they're famous British person in Britain. Everyone knows Ant and Dec.
That's another category. The most famous British person that only British people really know.
Because there's loads of those. There's so many like only local celebrities.
Like that damn chimp, Robbie Williams.
Yeah, people further afar don't know angels.
Who is the most famous British celebrity that only British people know?
It's a great question because like Robbie Williams is very famous here.
Yeah.
Not so famous in America, but he's quite famous in like Asia.
Yeah, and like South America. Like he is world famous.
So now are we going kind of more regional level as in an Ant and Dec?
Yeah, like an Ant and Dec where they're incredibly famous here.
But not further afield.
But who's got the craziest ratio of being the most famous in the UK and then the most anonymous outside? Because someone like, even like Graham Norton has like a footprint in America. But like, do people know Alan Carr?
Stephen Fry.
No, Americans know Stephen Fry.
Do Americans...
I think a little bit.
Holly Willoughby?
Yeah, maybe like a Holly Willoughby.
Like she could happily walk around America, I think, and not be noticed.
Or maybe like a soap star.
But Holly Willoughby's more famous than a soap star because if you don't watch EastEnders,
Yeah.
you might not know. Or a footballer. Is there
Yeah.
a very big footballer? Harry Kane. No one knows him in America. I don't know.
No, they're more into football in
think?
America and stuff. Do you remember we were in New York and there was a Manchester City store near
Yeah.
Times Square? And I was like, eh? Oh, you know what it is? It'll be like a really famous, well, I was going to say a really famous cricketer, but they obviously love cricket in like other countries, Australia and India and places like that.
What about like a Cheryl Cole?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Like a British, like a band that was big in Britain.
And only Britain because they never cracked America.
I think Cheryl Cole still might be known, but
No, I think Cheryl Cole could be up there. Was she on American Idol and then Simon booted her out?
yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. Cheryl, get in touch. Can you walk around kind of America or other lands?
Alison Hammond.
I thought about Alison Hammond, but she's a high level of celebrity. I guess we've also got, very famous British comedians.
Yeah, stand-ups don't translate.
Stand-up sometimes aren't in other markets. James Acaster.
No, they like James Acaster in America now.
Yeah.
A little bit, the trendy bit. But Michael McIntyre,
Michael McIntyre.
because I don't think his humour would translate at all, a lot of it,
Well,
because
because it's very British.
It's so British.
Do we think Michael McIntyre is the most famous celebrity then who's only famous in Britain?
Might be. Or the Mrs. Brown's Boys guy. Mrs. Brown, who presumably people watch that.
Yeah.
Never met one, but that show is always on. Maybe it's Michael McIntyre.
Michael McIntyre.
That's our conclusion.
Okay. I don't know. Maybe he is big in America, but my thought is probably not.
Let us know in the comments who's your choice. And with that, we come to the end. I'm Benedict Townsend.
And I have been Hannah Townsend.
This has been Talk of the Townsends, and make sure to follow if you haven't already. We do episodes like this, and we also talk about TV shows. We're talking about The Apprentice, and we might be talking about another little...
Oh, sorry. Were we not meant to say?
Oh, Hannah! Don't give it away. That's a good impression. That's a very good impression of another show, which we might be doing soon. So let us know.
Okay, bye. Love you.
Bye.